Erie. It's Monday, March 31st. Welcome back for another Flagship City Sports Talk brought to you by Quick Bill. My name is Nick Artman, and I'm joined by Mr. Clean, Paul Adams. Zach PA, how's it going, buddy?
I'm doing great, man. Well, it was a beautiful weekend. The skies just opened up right before we came on, or else I would have said another nice morning.
It was like somebody just dumped a bucket of waterfall over the outside of the studio here on stage.
It's like they flipped a switch from nothing to pouring.
And then it's off. So welcome to spring in Erie.
Right.
And in the big chair, we have the great and powerful Rich Smith. Rich, what's going on, buddy?
Not a whole lot. I agree. It was like you looked up and went, wait, where'd that come from?
Now, Rich, you are a camping aficionado. You were camping again this weekend.
I was.
How do you camp in a torrential downpour? Because my version of that is different than yours, I bet.
Yeah.
Well, barn burner question here this
Yeah,
morning.
well,
We're still waking up over here.
Yeah, tarps are your best friend.
Yeah, me, I go to my car. I'm done.
Right.
If I'm in the tent, I'm going to the car.
Same.
Forget it. I'm done. We went camping this one time. My wife and I was pre-kids. We went down to the Outer Banks. They have a campground that's kind of pseudo on the beach, and we were camping in the middle, I kid you not, of a tropical storm. Like the hurricane had downgraded. Tree branches are falling all around us, and I was like, we had like one of those Chevy HHRs, like the little hearse-looking things.
Yeah.
So we were like, let's just climb in the back. We like air mattress in the back. No sooner do we get in the car than a tree branch falls on the car. Now, not like smashing us or anything, put a dent in the window, but I was like, I'm never camping again.
I love the outdoors, but I'm definitely more of a glamper. When it's time to go to sleep, I want a mattress.
Yes.
Is that fair?
No, that's fair. That's fair. And I'm right there with you. You know, we're stuck in the middle of allergy season here. Spring is beautiful in Erie, but my gosh, I just wish I could breathe. So
I agree
Well, the
with
rain
that.
is good for that because it takes all that stuff out of the air.
yes. Here's your weather report here, brought to you by Flagship City Sports Talk. Hey, real quick before we get into the news, we have joined the Gem City Sports Network if you haven't heard by now. So make sure if you're looking for us on social media, follow along Gem City SN. That's the Gem City Sports Network. You could catch this live stream and comment right along with us here this morning. All right. A lot of stuff we want to get to. The Erie Otters are in the playoffs, if you haven't heard, and let's take a listen to this.
Make sure you don't allow another opportunity. Mishak moving this one up and in. Mishak worked over right wing side. Alfano left wing side. Spence, Femus racing down right wing side. That's the hat trick. Martin Mishak scores. Throw those hats. Martin Mishak's second career hat trick at the Dow Event Center. 6-4, the Otters lead it.
God, Sean Bednard probably is out of euphemisms at this point because the Otters are just on a scoring streak. They explode offensively to set an OHL playoff record with 8 goals in a single period, powering past Saginaw Spirit in the first game and then just overpowering them in the second game. They are up 2-0 in the first round of the playoffs as they head home this week. In game 1, the Otters won 8-5, setting an OHL postseason record with 8 goals in the second period. Erie outscored Saginaw 7-0 within 10 minutes of the second period.
Real time.
That's a lot. That's like, 3 back-to-back touchdowns in the first quarter. I mean, it's just that's how insane that level of scoring is. Panofemis had 2. Malcolm Spence had 2. Misiak had a goal. So then we move into game 2, and they're not done. Erie secures a 9-5 victory, capturing that 2-0 series advantage. Misiak and Femus each recorded their first career playoff hat tricks. Good timing on them. Dylan Edwards had 2 goals and 3 points. Erie's special teams, though, is really what is shining through these. 3 power play goals, the shorthanded goals that are coming through. They're really just able to score, whether they're down 3, up 5. It doesn't really matter. They seem to be scoring at will. But listen, they control the shot count, 43-33 over the 2 games. But now we're coming home, and is Erie's depth enough? It's great to be up 2-0. That's exactly where you want to be coming home in the playoffs. 2 tough road wins. But, Paul, as we look at this first series, and this team has been up and down. We talked about this with Sean last week. What has been the biggest surprise for you in these first 2 games?
The biggest surprise, well, going back, this has been an up and down team all year, and we talked, I think, pre-broadcast that Erie is actually missing its best player, a defenseman, likely number 1 overall draft pick in the NHL draft coming up, but he's not playing. I think the surprise to me is not only that this is, peaks and valleys. This is
Sure.
a peak. This is probably the height of their entire season. Maybe the best they've looked in 2 years.
Yeah.
So again, you've got a coach coming in. He has less than 20 games under his belt as the coach of this team. Missed 5 of them, by the way. They're technically under his jurisdiction. But you mentioned the special teams. That was one of my points. A couple of hat trick guys in the second game. The unbelievable second period in the first game. I don't know. I'm almost like, let's just play the next 2 games in Saginaw because we're doing just fine on the away ice. Got to give them something.
No, I think that's fair, and I think the special teams. Obviously, you want your power play to be on, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole point. You should score on your power play. But even when they're down, and I saw this late in the season as well, even if they're shorthanded, they're not playing. They're not sitting back and playing.
They're not just playing defense. Yeah,
right. They're able to turn it around, get back on offense, and try and score even on the shorthand. So I love what I'm seeing from the aggressiveness of their play right now. And I think, like you said, if this is their peak, bam, perfect. Like, this is exactly when you need to hit that peak. So now you have, the 2-up lead. You have games this week in Erie. We'll actually be there doing a live pregame show at 6 o'clock at the EIA on Tuesday night. So I'm excited to bring it back into Erie. But when you see this, is this sustainable? Is this level of success sustainable? Or how can they maybe keep this moving throughout the next couple games?
I don't know what your definition of sustainable is. Are they going to score 8-9 goals per game for the rest of the playoffs? I don't know about
Unlikely.
that. I don't know if that level of production is sustainable, but we've seen the height that this team can play at.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that doesn't just happen. They're going out and playing talented players. It's the coaching. It's being well prepared. It's executing the game plan at its highest level. And I think that is sustainable.
Yeah, I'm excited. Get your tickets. Game 3 and 4 this week over at the Erie Insurance Arena. Paul, you want to hit a 2-minute drill?
Oh, I got to scroll to it, but let's do it.
All right, let's go.
25 names today. Starting with Edinboro's Bernadette Zucchina. She won the 400-meter at the Carnegie Mellon Invitational with an NCAA provisional time of 55.48 seconds. Katie Bauer in the 1500 ran 4:44, and Eden Rush in the javelin threw 40.14 meters, also hitting PSAC qualifying marks. The 4x1 relay team placed third in 48.5 seconds. Mackenzie Huston took fourth in the 400-meter hurdles with a time of 106.9, and Madeline Newark finished sixth in the 100-meter hurdles with a time of 15.44. That's flying. Mercyhurst Tennis had a strong weekend in New Jersey. The men upset FDU 4-3 for their first ever Division I conference win, led by Danella Rukin and Lucas Cabu in both doubles and singles. They fell to Wagner 4-3 despite another doubles point win. Then the women split their matches, falling to FDU 4-1 before rallying past Wagner 4-3, with Kirsten Brown securing the deciding singles victory. Up on the hill, Mercyhurst women's lacrosse dominated Delaware State 22-9 in NEC play. Whitley Easton led with 6 goals and 2 assists, while Emma Semino added 4 goals. Megan Nossman scored 3 times, and Amanda Bailey and Marley Antonora had 2 apiece. Goalies Maggie Allen and A.J. Jameson combined for 6 saves as the Lakers controlled the game from start to finish. Down to Gannon, head coach Michelle Wiley earned her 150th career win as Gannon softball swept Cal PA in a 7-3 game 1. Natalia Mazzoli hit a 2-run homer, and Maggie Lenda struck out 5. Game 2 ended in a 4-3 walk-off as Sadie Carroll's double drove in Emma Smerick for the win. And we'll finish it out. Penn State Barons men's track and field opened the outdoor season with 4 regional qualifiers. Dan Dabrowski won the districts at 166.10, while Aiden Greenenson took second in the javelin with a 201.4 throw, ranking 5th in Division III.
I don't know how you do it. I sit across from you every week, and I watch you. I listen to you go through this 2-minute drill. You nail it every week. I am just forever impressed by you, my friend.
Bro, I appreciate it. This is... Listen, I got
being serious, by the way. I joke a lot,
25 names. It is so hard to... and I left people out. You know what I mean? Every week there's I'm going to do this story. Somehow it trumps this one. I don't know. I love it. You're such a great sports town.
Yep.
I'm glad that I can bring some of these lesser-known names to light.
Yep. That's why we do what we do. We love to just promote these stories. We got a great story we're going to talk about when we get back. We're chatting with Callie Wheeler, head coach of the Edinboro women's basketball team. That's going to be a great conversation, so make sure you stick around. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill.
John.
Welcome back. Good stories abound here this week. Otters playoffs. We got Callie Wheeler coming up here in a couple minutes, and then we have Sam Lebowitz from the Erie SeaWolves coming up to preview. So a lot of stuff we're getting to today.
Guest-heavy shows the last couple of weeks. I love it.
Listen, people don't want to listen to us. They're tired of hearing us talk. It's good to bring in some guests. And again, it goes back to what we just said before the last break. Just all the more good stories.
So many sports stories to share. Yes.
Yeah. And this next one is a big one. If you've been following along this show, you know we've been talking up the Edinboro women's basketball team. Had another great season, and that is in big part to our next guest. We welcome Callie Wheeler, Edinboro head women's basketball coach, to the show. Callie, how are you?
Hi, guys. Thanks so much for having me. I'm doing great. Thanks.
No, listen, thank you. You're the one with a busy schedule. We just talk sports for a living. You know, with the way the NCAA is right now, just because your season's over doesn't mean you hit spring break, right?
Oh, there's no time off. No time off. Right into recruiting, being a mom, chasing around my kids' sports schedules. There's never really a break.
Nope, I feel that. I've been saying for the last couple of years, I've hit the soccer dad phase of life where it's like, gymnastics here, soccer this way. Now we're into baseball. So I feel that. And I only have the parenting responsibilities.
Yeah, it's a lot. It is a lot to balance, especially during the season,
Yeah.
There's times where I don't get to some of my own children's games because I'm coaching on the road or I have a game, at Macomb. So really blessed that I get the opportunity to be a mom. But right now it's really a juggling act.
Hey, that's what it's all about. It takes a village. So.
Yes.
Well, Callie, you kind of gave us a little insight there, but where I always like to start these interviews is just, what's your origin story? How did you get to where you are today? You could start wherever, what got you into basketball? Where did you start and how you got to Edinboro?
I don't know if we have enough time for all of that. I'll give you the Cliff Note version. So I grew up in Ambridge, Pennsylvania, played on some really great basketball teams down there. And then I was recruited to Edinboro, which is a really unique story because both of my parents went to Edinboro. Cool. So it was really exciting for me to carry on my parents' tradition, especially my father. He was on the Lambert Bowl team. So he is also a Hall of Famer, holds many records and tackles. He was a linebacker. So followed in his footsteps, came to Edinboro. Played here 4 years under Coach Stan Swank. My senior year, I was the Player of the Year, WBCA, or I'm sorry, Player of the Year for a PSAC, and then WPCA All-American honorable mention. So I had a great senior year. We finished second in the PSAC, qualified for the NCAA tournament. Then from there, I graduated with my health and physical education degree and went back to Ambridge. And I felt like something was missing. What people don't understand is when athletes compete in a sport their whole life, when they graduate and they don't put that jersey on anymore, there's a little bit of an identity crisis. And that's what I was kind of going through is, what's next? I loved competing. I love basketball. And Coach Swank called me late summer, and his assistant had left, and he asked if I would join his staff, which I didn't hesitate. Anything I could get back to basketball, let alone Edinboro. I had a great experience here. So I jumped on his staff. I worked with him for 11 years. We had great tradition. And then he retired in 2018. That's when I became the head coach. And here I am 7 years later, 6 seasons, 7 years. COVID, we did not participate or compete. So, but Edinboro has been a great community to raise children, and, it's been really good to me. So I feel like it's easy for me to give back to the university in that way.
No, I love that. And, you talk about how you've transitioned from, you didn't say this, but I'll say it, star player to successful head coach at Edinboro. What's been that biggest lesson you learned as a player that you now emphasize as a coach?
I think that who you are is so important. I put a lot of time and energy into my culture. It's really important to me. There's a lot of really great players out there, but basketball is a team sport, and you got to be able to play with all 5 players that are on the floor. And I'm really big into my Benergy. We call that our bench energy, and making sure that everybody's encouraging, empowering, staying engaged in the game. So I think my biggest learning lesson as transitioning from a player to a coach is, piecing that all together and making sure that you have high character as a player, and understanding that basketball is something we do. It's not who we are. And that's where I'm really trying to help my current players that are going through kind of that transition right now. This is something you've done for a long time, but it's not who you are. So you're going to take that piece of you with you into your career and continue to be successful.
No, I love that. I keep trying to build culture around here, but these guys still won't bring me coffee on Mondays. So we have zero culture in this room.
Keep trying. Process.
Coach, I appreciate you. By the way, I wrote down Benergy. I love that. Bench energy. I've never heard that. I'm stealing that one.
Yeah, we're really big into that. So if you come to an Edinboro game, and someone on my bench is sitting while there's an electrifying play, they are going to get a conversation afterwards.
I'll take a picture and shoot you a text. That's for sure.
Yes, accountability is really important here.
I love that. In this latest landscape, you said that you don't have any time off. We're in the transfer portal time, sort of the era, as if you will. What is the biggest challenge facing Edinboro women's basketball in the current landscape? You have coached 9, if I counted it right, 9 all PSAC honors players, including Morgan Gentile, the player of the year this year, Haley Sims, second team, and I'm not including reigning freshman of the year, Rachel Manfredo.
Yes. So each year brings on different challenges. And, my 7 years here, every year has been different. We went through COVID. We went through an integration with Cal and Clarion. This year has probably been the most stable year. I went 2 years with a part-time assistant, which at our level and what we are trying to accomplish within the PSAC, which is one of the top conferences in the country, is very difficult and very challenging. This past season, I was able to hire Maggie Moore. She's a former player of mine. So I had her as a full-time assistant, which you saw what she brought to the table. I don't think there's any question that she was a big part of our success. This upcoming year, obviously, I think it's replacing my 2 all-conference players and my 5 seniors. My 5 seniors have 5 years of experience. They're 5-year players. Morgan and Haley have just been outstanding from a leadership standpoint on and off the court. So I think it's trying to find players to not necessarily replace them, because I don't think anybody could ever be replaced, but to, take on those responsibilities of being a great leader and great players on and off the court.
No, I love that.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say the same thing. You've been able to find these players. They come from different spots. What's your recruiting? I guess, what are you looking for when you're recruiting? Is it a certain athletic mark? Are you looking at stats? Or are you just recruiting the personality? Off the court. How does that math break down for you?
All of the above, everything you stated. We're looking for it all. We're looking for the overall package, but really someone who fits the Edinboro way. We're really unique. We don't have the top of the line facilities. We don't have the big budgets and, 10 full rides that we can just offer out. So, I'll use Rachel Manfredo as an example. I feel like for how great of a player she is, she was very under recruited. But we saw something really special in her. And, we're looking for highly skilled players with extreme athleticism that have high character. Now, sometimes we have to take a risk and look to develop one of those three things, whether it's their skill, their athleticism, or their character. And I'm willing to take on a player like that. And as you can see, Rachel Manfredo developed tremendously from the beginning of the season to the end of the year. She was one of our high usage players, making a run in both PSAC and NCAA playoffs. But with the transfer portal, I think that's the biggest elephant in the room. Is it's really changed the landscape of recruiting. I need to replace players that have a ton of experience. So we are now what we call fishing in the portal, because there are so many players right now out there at all levels. We're doing some of our recruiting in there, but I like to have a blend. I think 4-year players are still important. But I think you can have a blend of like a hybrid of transfers and freshmen.
No, it's so tough, so kudos to everything you guys are doing and building a great program. Callie, before we let you go, we got about a minute left. I wanted to have Paul share a story with you. Not only are you a great coach on the court, but we hear nothing but great stories behind the scenes as well. So Paul's got a story. We're curious if you'll remember.
Okay. This is from, I'm going to say 2011, 2012. I did radio for Edinboro for a couple of years. I did all the basketball games. Stan was the coach at that time. You were assistant. We were on a 2-game road trip. We were at Mansfield and then Lock Haven. So we played at Mansfield, won. Went to Lock Haven that night, stayed in the only hotel in Lock Haven. I'm with a radio partner of mine. We travel with the team. We got the last room. It was like a twin bed, single bed room. And we're like, this ain't going to work. So we walk back down to the front desk, and we're like, hey, can we get like a room with 2 beds? Anything? And like, we have nothing else. I don't know if you went down for a coffee or a bite to eat or something. You overheard us. You had a 2-bed room, and we're like, I'll switch with you guys. Something you just didn't have to do. You didn't really know us that well. We were literally the afterthought at the very back end of the bus, and it was just such a nice thing for you to do. And like it's 2025. I have not forgotten that day. And I appreciate you very much. You've been fantastic for Edinboro. I cheered when you got the job. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for the person you are on and off the court, representing Edinboro well.
Thank you guys so much. And I do remember that story. I remember that small little breakfast area, and I'm so thankful that you're sharing that, because it's been a long time. And that's one of those memories that puts your brain. So thank you guys so much for having me, and I really appreciate the opportunity.
No, awesome. Thank you, Callie. We look forward to next season. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. Welcome back. What a great conversation with Callie Wheeler.
She's so nice.
Yeah, just a lot of fun. So much fun. I didn't even get a chance to plug our sponsors. So let me do that before I forget, because that'll get me in trouble. So before we start our next segment, I want to take a second and thank all of our sponsors: Quick Fill, Dauber Auto Supply, John's Wildwood Pizza, and Denny's Sales and Service. Without them, we wouldn't have these great conversations that we have week in and week out. And we're not done yet, because we got one more coming up. I don't know if you've heard, but with the break of the weather, usually leads to baseball season. And we got a game coming up.
And sometimes they don't even wait for the weather to break. They just go at it.
No, that's the word. Yeah, when it's like, there's a reason spring training happens down in Florida.
Right.
So to help us get ready for the season, we welcome to the show Sam Lebowitz. Sam, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good. You guys can hear me okay?
Oh, loud and clear,
Fantastic.
buddy. Loud and clear.
I was sitting in that waiting room saying, well, I don't know about the weather. I mean, I'm looking here at a tarp covered in rain in front of me on this field, and I'm hoping that the weather breaks at some point.
Listen, that's opening season in Erie, Pennsylvania, buddy.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't snow by Friday, I think we're in good shape.
Listen,
don't say it out loud.
I was going to say, you just doomed it, my friend. You just said the S word.
Tongue, man.
Yeah, I'll wear that one if that's if that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy here.
Now, Sam, before we get into the baseball, we always like to take a peek behind the curtain at the person. And, you are the broadcast and media relations assistant with the Erie SeaWolves. And the first question we like to ask people the first time they're on the show is, man, what's your origin story? How'd you get to where you are? Where'd you come from? What brought you to Erie? What made you fall in love with baseball? I don't care. Anything you want to get into.
Yeah, I'm an outsider here, man. This is going to be my third season with the Seawolves, and before coming to Erie for the 2023 campaign, I'd never been here. I'd hardly ever heard of the place. So I'm from New Jersey originally, and I'm here for the job for baseball. I studied broadcasting in Syracuse University. Did some summer collegiate baseball. Did a summer on Cape Cod, which is a pretty good collegiate league. And then trying to get into pro ball to do broadcasting, it led me to working with Greg Gainey here with the Seawolves, and I've been lucky enough to see my roles expanded into the sponsorship side as well this year, and doing a lot of games and calling a lot of championship baseball. I mean, the team's 2 for 2 with me here, so I'd say
you're undefeated while you're in town.
That's exactly what I heard too. I mean, correlation here. We bring Sam to the club, and we win back-to-back titles. Gabe Alvarez, who?
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that it's he lost his first one. Remember, he lost. I wasn't here for 22, so I can't say that it's me. I guess this year we're going to find out. If I go 3 for 3, man, I think I need to sit down some roots here.
Listen, I like.
Please ask for a raise.
I like where your head's at. Well, we're excited you're here in Erie too. I mean, it's the Seawolves over the last couple of years have just been incredible stories left and right to cover. Like you said, back-to-back Eastern League championships, that's a huge deal. But unfortunately, in Double-A baseball, that leads to a lot of guys moving up to Triple-A or even in the majors. We talked about manager Gabe Alvarez, who's actually been named manager of the Triple-A affiliate, the Toledo Mudhens, for this season. So there's been a lot of turnover. A lot of great things. We're seeing a lot of Seawolves in the majors and at Triple-A. But unfortunately, I think that makes it a little harder for you guys as we move into a new season. So my question is, how are the Seawolves kind of poised to handle this kind of heavy transition as we move into the 25-26 season?
Well, you mentioned the change in leadership there at the top with the manager and Gabe Alvarez moving on. We'll miss Gabe. He was outstanding. I got lucky that he was the first manager that I got to cover in professional baseball. And so the new manager coming in, Andrew Graham, it's going to be an adjustment for me, but I don't think it's going to be an adjustment for him. Graham has been part of the Tigers organization for a very, very long time, including as a player. He played in Erie as a catcher, and he managed in Erie back before the pandemic for a season too. So I'm not worried about that aspect of it just because he's done it before. He's coming from a Lakeland team down in Single A, down in Low A, where he had been managing. He managed them to the playoffs last 2 years too, so wasn't able to get his ring. He came a win short of a ring last year, but he's coming from down below, a guy with managerial experience who has worked with a lot of these players before, having been down in Lakeland for the last couple of years. A lot of the players that we'll have this year, and any newcomer that we have this year who's coming from inside the Tigers organization is a guy who has played under Andrew Graham before, and I've heard nothing but good things. I'm excited to get him into town this week and pick his and start chatting and coming up with a plan on the media side and how we're going to approach things, but I'm excited to see how he's going to approach things as a manager in his first season here in Erie. As for the players themselves, things are really good in the Tigers system right now. Things are really good in the Tigers organization in general. The team coming off of a really fun playoff run last year, and it's a very similar roster at the top, which means that things are kind of going to be fairly similar we expect in AAA and AA this year. There are some guys moving on for sure. Hao-Yu Lee was a big part of the team last year, and he's already made his AAA debut because they got started on Friday. So we'll miss him for sure, but even though we don't have our official 100% set and ready to release roster as of yet, we think we're going to have a pretty solid group of returning players. You kind of do the math on who's not in AAA and who's not in the majors, and okay, it's a pretty good chance that they're going to be back in Erie. So on the player side, I think it's going to take care of itself. We've got some guys coming back who we think are pretty solid.
No, I love that.
Sam, thanks for coming on. My job here is to only ask hard-hitting questions. So here's the first one I've got for you. How long till the Seawolves get those new torpedo bats?
Oh man, that's one of the first questions that I was planning on asking around. We haven't gotten it shipped in yet.
Okay.
Camp actually breaks for the players officially. They have kind of a spring training mini camp where they're kind of assigned to affiliates, quote unquote, and broken into these little groups. So guys have been playing Seawolves games down in Florida, really in name only, as it says it on the schedule. But so that ends today, guys. Break camp today. We're expecting guys to start kind of filtering in either this afternoon or tomorrow, and that's when we should be getting a lot of equipment coming into the clubhouse, through UPS and whatnot. That's when I'll get to check the bat bags and see if anybody is working with some of these torpedo bats. I'm fascinated by the technology.
Yeah.
And I caught a few innings from the Yankees Brewers series over the weekend. It works pretty well. So
yeah, I mean, you can't argue with the results so far.
Right?
Small sample size, but we'll see.
7 dingers in 2 days? That's pretty good.
They hit 9 on Saturday, right?
Yeah, I think it was 9 on Saturday.
5 on Saturday came off the torpedo bats. So there were 4 that were regular bats, and then 2 more on Sunday.
And I love how it's already turned into like a let's ban it across the league.
Exactly.
And the league said, nope, there's no rule on this.
And we've gotten the trickling. It's been, I guess, a lot of players around the league are trying it out. I know Francisco Lindor with the Mets tried it out, and he went 0 for 11 this weekend in Houston. So maybe it's just the Brewers. It might just be the Brewers.
That's true.
Curse of Euchre. Well, I know you said that you don't have a roster finalized quite yet, and we'll ask about starting pitching in a few minutes. Are there any newcomer names fans should be most excited about?
I can't give you 100% official specifics. I know you guys will understand that, we're a little, we're embargoed with the big club right now. We haven't even gotten that official roster yet, but speculating, there are a couple of names that I think you should keep an eye on in terms of prospects. The first is Tyrone Lorenzo. He's a catcher. He's the guy that the Tigers got the big piece in the Jack Flaherty trade last year when they sent him to the Dodgers. He's a switch hitting catcher. He is a large fella, and he's only 21 still. He really hit the ground running when he joined the Tigers system at the end of July last year. He was having kind of a so-so season in high A with the Dodgers. He went over to West Michigan, and he hit the ground running. Like I said, he raked. Wound up going to the Arizona Fall League, where he was the all-star of their all-star, or the MVP of their all-star game, and hit a home run, go-ahead home run in the 9th inning of that game. Offense first catcher, but the Tigers think that he is getting better behind the plate too. And it stands to reason with how he finished in high A, there's a good chance we'll see him for the beginning of the season or the bulk of the season would have, and should be an anchor in the lineup. On the pitching side, high A also had the reigning pitcher of the year in their league, in the Midwest League last year. His name is Jaden Ham. He was outstanding, ERA around 2.5. It was his first full professional season. Tigers tinkered with his pitch mix a little bit, comes straight over the top fastball. He rides it to the top of the zone. Not a really hard thrower, but it's gonna play pretty well at the top of the zone. And he spent the entire year in West Michigan last year, and he should probably be getting some starts here in Erie this year.
No, I mean, and I was trying to find the source. I know you guys had posted this or tweeted this out as well. I mean, that I think what you're talking about, because we've talked about Hao-Yu Lee moving up. Jackson Jobe is probably starting in Detroit this year. Yeah. Okay. I mean, he so we have a lot of this transition, but I mean, the farm system was also just ranked number 1 in the league, right?
Yeah.
So it's not surprising to hear you say, you have, these guys from single A
Got
coming
some
up.
dudes.
Yeah.
It's been kind of described to me, the Tigers before I got here, that, before this current regime with Scott Harris, it was not necessarily a meritocracy with promotions. That guys, they would take their, they'd have their full season in AA, and then they kind of just expect to move onward up to AAA. But now under this current regime, things are really, really solid on the player development side, that they don't care how much time you logged in AAA or in AA. They're not just going to promote you because it's time to promote you. They're going to promote you when you've earned that promotion.
Yeah.
And so it's not necessarily that, the guys that are coming back to the SeaWolves for a second or third or maybe even fourth season are not moving on because they're not good enough to move on. There just might not be a spot for them at the top because there's someone who has earned their spot in AAA or there's earned their spot in Detroit.
Yeah. No, I think that makes a ton of sense too. And like you said, that's all still in flux before, even the game on Friday. With the roster being in flux, when is the expectation for, starting day roster or game, starting pitcher set to be posted so that people can see and get ready for Friday?
We're hoping to have it today.
Okay.
If we don't have that ready to go today, then tomorrow, because whether we're allowed to release it or not, we've got players tomorrow. So
Sure.
We're gonna have a pretty good idea of what our roster looks like before end of day tomorrow, and by that point we should get to go ahead to put something out publicly, and we're looking forward to being able to do that because again we think we're gonna have a pretty good roster this year, and we think Tiger fans and SeaWolves fans both are going to be excited to see what kind of talent are going to be playing here at UPMC Park this year.
Well, I know we're excited too, and you talked about promotions, and game one, season opener is on Friday, April 4th, 6:05 against the Harrisburg Senators. You guys are running all kinds of promotions. Not only is it opening night, you have the championship banner raising going on. You got the 30th season lapel pin giveaway going on. And my personal favorite, you got the Friday fish fry in the UPMC Park Stadium Club. I mean, know your demographic. Give us your insights into what fans can expect when they come to the park on Friday.
Friday, it's going to be opening night. It's fanfare, it's festivities, it's everything that makes baseball so great. I'm really looking forward to it. My prior 2 seasons here at the SeaWolves, we started on the road, so I haven't gotten that kind of proper opening day. This is the first day of the season for the team at home yet, which I'm really, really excited. I mean, we spent Saturday putting banners and bunting up around this ballpark and making sure that it's going to look all pretty, and hopefully the sun comes out a little bit on Friday to show that off. But in terms of promotions, that lapel pin, I think, is going to be a popular item. It's the 30th season for the club here. So we're doing everything we can to celebrate that. I mean, the big celebration for that is going to be in June to actually celebrate the exact anniversary of when the team kicked off. But we are kind of giving you a little taste with that lapel pin. First 1,000 fans on Friday. Championship banner is always going to be great. Fans really love seeing that. And then they'll be able to, take pictures of it and peek at it over the course of the season. That's going to be pretty much right above my head here in the broadcast booth, just off which is going to be exciting. And then the fish fry. I mean, our food and beverage staff has done a great job of coming up with some fun menus for the Stadium Club this year, some specialty menus. And that's the first of a few that they have to offer. I know they've got Easter brunch coming up and Mother's Day coming up too. So those tickets are available online. They're always worthwhile. I think they do a good job with those buffets in the Stadium Club.
Yeah.
And that's a great place to watch games.
Yep.
Too.
Paul's always looking forward to the dollar dog nights.
I was just going to ask, are Buck Nights still a thing in 2025?
$2.
Inflation hits everybody.
Right, but it's still Buck Night, right?
$2 Thursday is still a thing. I can't confirm that live on air right now.
Okay, good.
But yeah, it's been $2 for a while. It hasn't been $1 since I've been here. Also.
Oh, that's fair. We're just a little behind on the times. Well, Sam, thank you so much for joining us this morning, man. Open invitation. We're looking forward to following along this season.
Pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. Take care. All right. That was fun. I'm excited for baseball. Like, I know it's raining, it's cold, it's going to be 30 tomorrow. I'm still excited for baseball season.
Baseball means nice weather's coming.
When we get back, we got some Overreaction Monday for you. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quick Fill. Welcome back. You're listening to Flagship City Sports Talk, brought to you by Quickfill. If you're just tuning in here on Talk Erie, welcome. But you missed a great show. You missed great interviews today. Callie Wheeler, Edinboro women's basketball team. You just missed Sam Lebowitz of the Erie SeaWolves, kind of previewing, opening day and the start of the season. So if you missed any of those, make sure you go back and check the podcast channels. You can find us anywhere you can find a podcast. Follow the stream on YouTube, like and subscribe, and all that other fun stuff. But we're not done. Speaking of fun stuff, he's taken, the first 75% of the show off, but we welcome him back for the last quarter. The IP, Isaac Petcash. Isaac, how's it going, buddy?
Going. Sorry, guys. If you just joined us, you're stuck with me.
And everybody just tuned out.
I get it. People got places to go, things to do.
I was going to say, with a baseball reference, we brought in our closer.
There we go. I like that better.
Are we talking Emmanuel Clase or David Bednar? Because there's a big difference.
Well, that we'll leave that up to the audience. They can comment below post show.
Yep.
Now, Isaac, one of the things we wanted to do, we haven't done one for a while, and we're excited to bring back the segment today, is overreact to some sports and bring back, Overreaction Monday. But I got to be honest with you, I'm nervous because we've, when we did these during the football season, we kind of knew what to expect, and just so everybody knows, Isaac has given us no prep work for this. I have no idea what we're overreacting.
No show notes. I've got nothing.
We have no idea what we're going to be overreacting today, so take it easy on us, my friend.
Yeah, that's what makes it the best, man. I've had a couple weeks to prepare, so here we go. We're going to start with the Otters because, hey, in case you didn't know, guys talked about it earlier on the show. They're up 2-0. Oh, hey, by the way, we're going to be live at the Erie Insurance Arena tomorrow at 6 o'clock for a podcast, so make sure to join us for that.
Not an overreaction.
Not an overreaction. Also truth. If you haven't checked that out already. Hey, here's my first one. This is pretty simple. I think the Otters are going to wrap this series up at home. They're going to sweep Saginaw in a 4-game series victory and not even have to worry about going back to Michigan over the weekend.
I'm going to say not an overreaction. I think if you can put 17 goals up on the road, that whips up all the Erie fans. I think EIA is going to be absolutely packed tomorrow night. That kind of environment, that kind of hot streak that the Otters are on, I agree completely. I think this thing's out in 4, and we'll see. We move on to the next round.
I agree. Not an overreaction. I mean, they finished 4-5 in the Western Conference standings, Saginaw and then Erie. So you knew it was going to be an even match game. But I think when it comes time to hockey in the playoffs, momentum is everything. You have back-to-back, you have breaks in between games, but I mean, you're essentially playing back-to-back, and the speed of the game, I don't care what level it is, playoff hockey intensifies more than any other sport. So I think to not only come home, and the home field advantage is really important, to be up 2-0, but at the rate that they're scoring and the way the special teams are playing, as we highlighted in the A block, not an overreaction. I think it's a very good chance that they wrap up this week.
Well, last year, a big part of the reason they couldn't beat Kitchener was the special teams. They couldn't score in the power play. They gave up a couple of shorthanded goals. I was really impressed, and I said it in my live reaction on Thursday in Game 1. You get 2 shorties and a power play goal, and you follow it up with a 9-goal performance that was more evenly dispersed in Game 2. I really like what they're doing, and it leads me to my second topic. I'm glad Paul mentioned 17 goals. So, for reference, the Otters have scored 17 goals in the series. The Pittsburgh Penguins just picked up their 30th win of the season last night. Pretty pathetic, but it leads me to be able to say this. By the end of the series, the Otters will have scored more goals than the Penguins have wins this season in total.
As of now or by the end of their season?
Minimum 14 goals over the next 2 games.
Ooh.
This is a hard one.
That is a hard one. I will start. I will say overreaction, not because I think the Pens are going to do better. The Pens are, I think, at this point, just wave the white flag, although Crosby showed to be Crosby with an OT winner over the weekend. But I just think scoring 7 goals in a hockey game is like putting up 60 points in football. That's just a lot to ask. So I'm going to go overreaction.
Only if the goalie's missing.
I'm going to say not an overreaction. I think what the Otters are doing right now is they found a weakness, and they have been able to exploit that weakness. And if Saginaw is unable to course correct, I think Erie just look, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep
Right.
exploiting that weakness. Keep putting shots on goal. Keep putting goals on the board. I don't see that as an unattainable feat at all.
And you take a look, too, at the way that they've played in March, especially their home games. When they win, they're averaging between 5 and 6 goals a game at home since the month of March started. They've been a boomer bust team even without Matthew Schaefer, even without Kerry Terrance, and we'll see if those two end up gracing the team's presence in future runs and through playoff time. I just think you're at home. You have a chance to really just put the leg down and just get this done. And I think you're going to see tomorrow night, and hopefully Nick and I will see it live in person, this offense just explode as well. Remember, in Game 3, they came out with a vengeance against Kitchener in Game 3 to start this their home part of the series. So we'll see exactly how that works. But I'm curious and I'm excited about it. Hey, let's talk about the Seawolves, too, because obviously we just had Sam on opening days Friday. It's going to be a fun week downtown between Game 3, 4, and Seawolves opening night. I'm not going to go as far yet to say that Erie's going to be back winning another championship because we don't know the official roster yet and whatnot. But I think the Seawolves are guaranteed they're going to make the playoffs again this season. At least one of the final 4 teams in the Eastern League playoffs again.
I would say not an overreaction. And I think even though, we just, like you said, we talked with Sam about how they've lost players, Jackson Jobe, Ty Madden, How You Lee over the last couple of seasons, which would make you a little worried. I mean, they haven't named an opening day starter. They don't know who the roster is yet just because of the way that the farm system works. But I think I'm gonna hang my hat on 2 things. One, the tradition of the team and the way this team is moving from the ownership on down. That has a big reflection on how a team will play. So you're right. I would have said overreaction to back just because the odds of that are really low between A, winning 3 championships in a row, and B, the turnover that you have. But the farm system was just rated the number 1 in the league, and I think that's going to show. I think, and Sam talked about that a little bit. You have some single A players that are coming up, not to mention the guys that are repeats from last year are still strong at the bat. I think the pitching rotation is going to yet to be determined as we see who's going to be there. But I think there's enough on this team, and there's enough coming up from single A that, I think they have a great chance to make the playoffs this year.
I'm just going to second that. You pretty much took all of my points. Not an overreaction. I think organizational strength, the strongest farm system in baseball, and the fact that the Tigers, like Sam said, this is a meritocracy. They're not promoting guys who don't deserve it. Everybody at this level deserves to be at this level, and they beat out somebody else to be at this level. I think the Seawolves are going to be good for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, keep in mind, too, they lost their 3 top hitters in the span of a week and a half last season, How You Lee being one of them due to injury, and they still were able to make headway, win the championship regardless. So I think Andrew Graham's a really great manager. Again, his second stint with the team. He's going to have those boys ready to go. All right, one more. The NFL meetings in Florida are taking place. Mike Tomlin was actually part of the coaches' photo this year, which was kind of cool. Neat to see. Last one, guys. I'm starting to get the feeling that Mike Tomlin doesn't really want Aaron Rodgers in the building. I think the Steelers plan at quarterback to trade up into the top 5 or the top 3 to get one of the 2 quarterbacks, Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. I've just got a sneaking suspicion they're up to something.
You got 30 seconds, host of the TDP. What do you got?
Oh, boy. I don't think they trade up that high. I don't think it's an overreaction to say that Aaron Rodgers doesn't become a Steeler. He doesn't feel like a Steeler at all. I can see the 7 spot being the spot that they trade up and take Shedeur. That's with the Jets.
Overreaction, I think they'll make a trade, but I think it's for a vet. I think Kirk Cousins makes sense. People are talking about Kyler Murray. I don't see it. But I don't see them. They don't have enough capital to make it up to the top of the draft. IP, thanks for, checking in with us this morning, my friend. Always fun to do some overreaction.
Can't wait for tomorrow. It's going to be fun at the Otters. Join us at 6.
Absolutely. Erie, thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Nick Artman, signing off for Paul Adamzak, Rich Smith, Isaac Petcash. That's it. We're done. Have fun.
$7,000.